This production is sponsored by The Good Estate Agent. With an average turnaround time of 3 weeks, if you want your house sold quickly, then contact Stefan today on 01942 356 577. Quote Super League Raw for 33% off. So good afternoon in Dallas style. Oh yes, I'm JR. We've got Bobby Ewan himself, Mr. Sale. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. You?
And of course, Victoria Principal Bazza Kingston is with us.
Hello, mate. Good afternoon, Dave. Thanks for having me on today.
Absolute pleasure, mate. The Super League Raw members now will be joining us, each taking turns to be a special guest on the show. Become a member this afternoon. Do the QR codes. You could be on the captain's run next week, just like Bazza is this week. Outstanding stuff, boys. We are just hours away from round number 12 of the Betfred Super League. Cannot wait for this one. Some very tempting little games on the horizon. Without further ado, let's get this one off and running with a bit of pace, starting with this beauty at the LSV this evening as Hull FC come to town. Oh, you can see it there, boys, in history. It's a good viewing if you're a Leopard. Last three, though, we're saying it's a 3-2 to Hull FC. Is that right, Steph? That's a bit of a surprise.
No, I don't think that's right.
I'm up against it, mate. I'm up against it. I'd do it. Oh, no, sorry. That's the last three in Super League, isn't it?
Yeah.
Between the two here, I believe. I could be wrong. That's what I believe it is. 3-2 to FC.
I can't remember him beating us.
Yeah, they beat you. Well, you've had a draw. That might be wrong. Apologies. We are up against it. I've had 2 hours sleep. It was on nights last night. The next one is absolutely right. The form guide, of course, Hull FC, 4 losses on the spin. Of course, a defeat for Lee Leopards last time out against the Warriors in a brilliant game. In fact, both of these two teams had great games last weekend. In the points for, a better attack for the Leopards and a better defence as well, which bodes well for tonight. If you're a Lee Leopard, you're scoring more and conceding less than Hull FC. Both teams hovering around the 90, better tackle efficiency from the way of Saints. Both are in trouble with the kicks. I mean, that's just a quickie. I'll bring our new man in, Bazza, on this. Bazza, kicking this year, we're not seeing many 80% pluses. They are very low 70s and 60s. Not the usual standard of goal kicking in 2025.
No, it really isn't. A lot of people complained about KR's kicking last year, but it feels like everybody seems to have dropped off the boil this year. I know Lee don't really have a recognised kicker. Yeah, they have Gaz O'Brien, but I'm not 100% sure if he's their number one goal kicker, but he normally slots them over from anywhere, but he's been missing a few, and we know Aidan Caesar's got off the boat, but he had that groin strain not so long back, so I think Will Price was taking over, and he didn't light it up for FC from the tee, in my opinion.
No. I mean, it's across the board, actually. It is across the board. Just looking here, 3. No, though. So just the last 5, obviously the draw was the last one. Lee, 1, 2, 3. No, it's 4. It's 4-0 and a draw to Lee. Just clearing that one up. Apologies for that. I don't know what happened there. And then, of course, the errors. Again, not an awful lot between them in terms of pens and errors. But again, Lee, a lot cleaner in that area. Get yourselves in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon to Adam Reeves and Phil Webster. They've already started the chat. Get involved. We'll give you your shout outs as always. Let's go straight to the teams. We'll start with, in fact, let's Bazza do the away side, and then we'll come to Steph for Lee. Bazza, in terms of Hull FC, of course, no Jordan Rapana. He is still in recovery. We wish him well. And they're in bad form. 4 defeats. At some point, they've got to turn the tide, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Hull FC, they need to get back on that winning train as soon as possible, because losing can become a habit, and fair play to them. They're in every game that they play, and they're playing a very, very nice brand of rugby. They've been unlucky in a couple. It doesn't help the fact losing Jordan Rapana, because he has a big influence on games, and playing Zach Hardaker and Ed Chamberlain in the second row is certainly going to, especially when the centres, although Zach Hardaker he's done a very, very good job in the back row, but they need to get this first win like soon before it becomes an habit, in my opinion.
Absolutely. The man that's pictured as well, Herman, he's been a bit off form the last few weeks, not the devastating performances that we saw early doors in the season. I would expect Brad Fash maybe to be drafted into second row with either Hardacre or Chamberlain going back into centre, would you say, Steph, with the absence of Ipana?
Yeah, you'd think so. It seems like the most likely thing to happen in this one. And I'm expecting a really big game from Herman tonight. I think, like you say, he's not been the form we saw of him in the early season. He has just dipped off a bit, but that's been in coincidence with Hull FC's form in general. But I'm expecting a really big game against him, and it's going to be fascinating to see him go against Big Joffa tonight. That's going to be a battle of the Titans, that one, I think, this evening.
Yeah, it should be a belting game. It should be a belting game. Right, let's get into the Leopard squad. Of course, the big news, and I think we're all delighted, the number 11, Frankie Holton, back. We mentioned this on Weekly. That really tightens up your edges, doesn't it?
It does, and obviously there's no guarantee he's playing. He's just named in the squad, so I think it's a game time decision based on, well, probably captain's run yesterday, whether he's going to play or not. But if he is back, that's huge for Lee, more so from the defensive side of things. But also the line, he's been running off Lachlan Lamb like we've seen McDonnell at Leeds. He can get over for tries as well, so he's very important for Lee. Big main absentee still is David Armstrong and also Gaz O'Brien missing for this one. But we've got Bailey Hodgson, who's been in incredible form for Lee, coming in at fullback still. And I expect Ben McNamara to start tonight for Lee. And based on his performance against Wigan, I don't think he got the recognition he deserved in that game. He had some really nice touches. And I also expect him, we talked about goal kicking efficiency, to be kicking the goals for Lee this evening. Should be getting over for tries. So he's going to be play a massive part. And I think he could be a tip, McNamara, for man of the match if Lee had to go on and win this game.
Big call, early doors, that one. We wish Ben well in this game. Of course, the first one was a classic, 22 apiece. Great game, topsy-turvy game. And if you remember, it was that, was it out in touch? Was it not out in touch? There was a bit of controversy in that one. And we're going to get controversy tonight at the LSB. There you go, Bazza. I'm doing that for you, mum. There you go, a bit of movement on the screen. But actually, Bazza, we'll come to you now because we've just mentioned, Steph's just mentioned Bailey Hodgson. We've got two young players. I think they're both 22. Two really good young talents here. Bailey Hodgson, for me, he's playing his own game, and that's to his credit. He's actually played more as well. 10 appearances to Price's 5 thus far. Before bringing, of course, the stats are on the screen. We've got like I said, there's a 5-game difference. So if you actually multiply everything by a double for Price, there's not an awful lot between either of these players when you double it up. The only thing I'd be interested to get your view on, I think there's a difference here, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out tonight. I think Bailey Hodgson is doing the right thing. He's 22. He's not trying to overplay. He's just finding his way into the game, and he's concentrating on his own game and where he fits in. Conversely, Will Price has come with a reputation. He's still only a young lad. We forget that, and Will tries to manage the game with the officials. He's started to do that this year. And I think it's going to be fascinating, Bazza, to see two young fullbacks on the field who, one, I think, from a composure and a mentality perspective, even though he's new on the scene, seems to be doing better at doing his job at the moment than Will Price. That's not to say that Will Price isn't an exceptional player, but do you think that his antics is detracting from his game?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Bailey Hodgson, he burst onto the scene this year, relative of Josh Hodgson. And anywhere he's played for Lee, he's put in week in, week out an 8 out of 10 performance, whether he's out on the wing or at fullback. And going back to the Challenge Cup, I thought Bailey Hodgson was incredibly unlucky to miss out on that fullback role. He goes about his business a lot quieter than Will Price. Is a lot less animated, if that makes sense. But for me, I think out of the two, I think Bailey Hodgson at this moment in time is the better player. I think Will Price needs to be a little bit more grounded and, as you say, trying to officiate the game. Like we heard him from the stands in Newcastle screaming at officials, and you can't do that. You really can't do that in this game. And the way Bailey does it. It just goes about his business quietly and lets his rugby do the talking. And at the moment, it's talking a very good game for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I just like Bailey Hodgson. I think at 22, it's the right way to approach it. Do your job, just concentrate on your own game. I think Will would be well advised to do exactly that. Just concentrate on your own game. Leave it to the likes of Aidan Caesar. He's the captain after all. It's his duty to deal with referees and do all the mouthing off. I think Will just needs to concentrate on his game. Before we move on, it's only right and appropriate that we look at the new against the old. I mean, Johnny Asiata left the Leopards. I know you were devastated over it, really, Steph, in terms of losing him, in terms of what he'd done for your team. However, you wished him well. Whilst this says that Johnny's creating more tries, and that is to be expected, he is almost like a fourth halfback the way he plays. I think the interesting thing in the contrast here is that in Liu, the meters are near as damn it. There's not an awful lot of difference there, but it's the defensive quality. Whilst those stats appear that John Asiata is doing more in defence, when you factor in tackle efficiency, Asiata's running at 89%, Liu's running at 96 and change. That's massive. Yeah,
it is. And the two different 13s for me. I think Asiata is more of a ball playing 13. Liu's a bit more like a third prop on the pitch. He has got an offload in him as well, probably a bit more than Asiata. It'd be interesting to know the offload stats for the two. But yeah, two different players. But just to pay testament to John Asiata, he will forever be the captain who lifted the Challenge Cup fully in 2023. He'll go in 50 years' time. They'll still be talking about John Asiata in League. And it's his first time back to the Sports Village since that move. So I hope he has a really, really good game and shows what he's capable of, because he's been doing that all season for Hull FC. And more importantly, no matter the result after the game, I hope he comes over to the League fans and gets a fantastic reception in recognition of what he did for our club.
And I'm sure he will. I mean, I think, the Be the Roarers, the impression I get from the Be the Roarers is that, they're very proud and very appreciative of what that class of 2023 did for the town of Leigh. And I would expect that all of the returning Leigh boys, unless there's an indiscretion in the game, and that could sour things a little bit. But I think providing that they keep the noses clean in the game, they will get a fantastic...
All four of the Hull FC players who were former Leigh players were part of that Wembley team as well. Yep. So you've got Chamberlain, Hardacre, and Briscoe. So I hope they all get the recognition they deserve when they get back there tonight.
Well, they should do. They should do. I'm just working on the fly. Only 3 offloads from Liu as you this season, which might surprise you, Steph.
Yeah.
But in terms of John Asiata, I think we're going to expect a lot more from him. We know he passes the ball a lot more. Only actually 11, so 11-3 in answer to your question. That's it. We always roll with the punches here as we go back to Dallas. Oh, yes. And now, of course, we move on to the next game. Should we a belter? Tune in. It's on, again, am I right in thinking it's only on Super League Plus tonight?
What, League?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think it's on the main channel.
That's
I could be wrong when I say that. But I've got a sneak game. I've got there's no Thursday night game on Sky. It's on Plus. So I mean, obviously it is on Sky because it's on the button. But yeah, no build up. So
crazy.
Just rewatch this again, folks. Right, okie dokie. Let's get into the next one. Huddersfield Giants taking on the Saints. Of course, Saints a massive win against the Catalan Dragons. Just a quick one. If Josh Charlie scores a try tonight, he will go 27th place in the all-time British scorers, and he will get 250 in Super League. Tom Briscoe needs 2 tries to draw level with Leon Price and 3 tries for 100 for Hull FC. Right, back to Huddersfield against Saints. Right, I know you're all muckers, Joel, but... here we go. You can see it on the screen there, Bazza. 5-0 the last 5 meetings. That's bad enough. 49-13 in history. That's bad enough. But St. Helens have won their last 11 meetings with Huddersfield Giants. The Giants' last victory against the Saints was 12-10 at Saints in March 2020. St. Helens have also won their last 9 away meetings at Huddersfield, including the 2020 game that actually was rearranged and was at Headingley. The Giants' last home win against Saints was a 24-16 game in June of 2017. Doesn't bode well at all if you're a Huddersfield Giants fan, that one. And as you'd expect, you go right away down there. It's very, very close until you get to the points for, the points against, and of course the the tackle efficiency is very close. It's just really the points for and the points against. Welcome, Paul. You're more than welcome. I know you're late, but don't worry about it. We'll put you on detention, sir. One draw between these two. Can you offer any optimism to the Cowbell Army based on what I've just told you, Baz?
Records are there to be broken, aren't they? They've had a lot of adversity this year. It's actually nice to see the team sheet, if I'm right in thinking, on the squad selection. It's actually 1 to 14 in order, so they'll take a lot from that. There was in the game at KR for best part of 58, 60 minutes, so they will take things away from that. How it'll come up against St Helens, I don't know. I don't think Huddersfield can be as bad as the Catalan Dragons was last Thursday. Anything can happen. It's been a crazy year this year in rugby league, so I won't write off the Giants. It'd be too easy to. I won't be surprised if it's a bit of a replica of Magic Weekend when they played Hull FC, if I'm brutally honest, because Saints probably won't know what to expect, because I think this is the first time this year they've had a fully fit squad, so anything can happen. And the defence at Huddersfield isn't as bad as what people may think it is. Like, I saw it firsthand last week. There was very much in that game for best part of an hour, and the defence was pretty solid. If they can cut these silly handling errors out at crucial parts of the game and crucial areas of the pitch, I think they'll put themselves in with a shout against Saints.
Yeah, they could do. I mean, Steph, looking at the Huddersfield squad there, mate, what strikes me is Tui Lolohea is back in the squad. I think that's a big call. I mean, it's a big call because Tui wasn't in great form. Before he went out, he wasn't in great form. We know for me personally, Flanagan's undroppable. He's just undroppable. Yeah. He really, really is. So on that basis, would you play Tui? And if you do, are you slotting him in? Probably, actually, to be fair, they'd probably slot him in at 6, wouldn't they? Because I think Kieran Rush played there last week, didn't he?
Yeah, they'll put him in. I don't think they've got anything to lose with that. Lolohea is one of their main players, isn't it? And he, on his day, he's a fantastic player for Huddersfield. I think Baz is spot on in what he's saying in terms of this is the strongest squad we've seen from Huddersfield this season. Only absentee in that 1 to 14, Bazza, was Sutcliffe, so number 4. But apart from that, it's pretty much, like you said, a full squad. So the excuses are going now, aren't they, for Huddersfield, apart from game time together. So once they start building that, they like starting the season again. I know you mentioned that before, Dave.
Yeah.
But as they go on, they're going to get better and better for me. And I think it's a really good opponent to come against this week for them. They're not Hull KR, that's for sure, Saints this season, but obviously off the back of a decent performance last week. So we're going to learn probably more about Saints in this game than Huddersfield, I think.
Yeah, and of course, for those who listened to my second appearance on BBC Radio Leeds with JD last night, fully enjoyed that, and thanks to JD for inviting me on yet again. I actually said that it'd be interesting if the Giants got a couple of scores ahead, because I think, Saints' confidence, I think there's still a bit of fragility there, gentlemen, and if, somehow Huddersfield got off to a really strong start, that would put further pressure on Saints, and can they overcome that? I mean, it's very easy when you get a game like Catalan and you get ahead and you get a comfortable lead. It's easy to press on from there. We're going to see, if Saints go behind in this game, we'll learn a little bit more. What I would say, Bazza, though, is I think that in most positions, Saints are probably going to go the same again. There's a problem in second row, of course, because there's no Bachelor there this week again. And there was talk in the press conference that he might put Jake Wingfield in alongside Curtis Sirenan for this game. Will that mean that there's a spot as well for Noah Stevens? We'll have to wait and see. But I certainly think that the 1 to 7, I think he's probably going to leave that as is. And that'll probably give them an opportunity to just cement some combinations and put that practice against Catalan into effect against Huddersfield. Do you think that he'll keep that back 7 the same?
I think it'd be silly if he didn't. George Whitby's probably the first name on the team sheet. Is that after last week's performance, he's undroppable. Potential question marks over Johnny Lomax, but I thought Johnny steers him around the park really, really well. For me, that back line gets left alone.
Just on that, I'm not. Whitley's not in the squad, is he? So they can't leave it the same. They're gonna have to put somebody in there to fill in, aren't they? So could Benison come back? Maybe.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout actually. I think Paul Whelan's on a headache. It'll be further down the track when Carl Felt's back, as to what he'll do with Tristan Saylor. But by the time Carl Felt gets back, Saints could be on like a really big winning streak. So he'll have them headaches with the back line further on. I think this week the squad pretty much picks itself. The only thing that people's calling for is Noah Stevens, and we've all been crying out for him to be on the bench at least this year. So what better game to do it than against Huddersfield Giants side for me?
Absolutely. I think looking ahead with the crystal ball again. Strength of coaching. When Felt comes back, he's got a big decision. I just hope he doesn't drop Murphy, because Murphy doesn't deserve to be dropped, because that'd be the easy thing to do. You've got two marquee players in Saylor and Felt. So what do? You drop the English lad on the wing. And I actually think that Lewis Murphy at the moment is playing some lovely rugby league, and he's finishing really well for Saints. So I think that'd be a poor shout. Again, forgive me, two games in a row, but we're going future talent on the same field. I mean, what a game. These two lads, George at fullback, the two Georges, one at fullback, one at 7. Great performance against Catalan from Whitby. That'll take him on again in terms of his development. Nothing between these two. I mean, don't get me wrong, Flanagan's played more games, but two very exciting talents, Steph. We'll wrap up and then we'll move on to the next one. But just give your assessment on, again, the strength of the English game with talent like this coming through.
Yeah, two lads who've burst on the scene this season and have been absolutely phenomenal. Young lads who've, the pressure that must have been on these two in key positions at such young ages. Flanagan's arguably been the best player for Huddersfield this season. And George Whitby, when he's had his chance, he's took it with open arms, hasn't he? And really stood out in this Saints team, a bit like Robertson did for them last year. So it's going to be a really intriguing battle. I know they're in different positions, but how they lead their teams around the pitch and control everything is going to be crucial in this one for whoever's going to win it. So I think the one who plays best out of these two are more than likely going to be on the winning side.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, good game. This one, it will, of course, be on the red button, because the main course is, of course, at the HJ. Injury ravaged Warrington. We'll get to their squad in a minute. I mean, actually, we know that KR are in great form. Warrington are out of form. I mean, 1 win in the last 5 for Warrington. KR far better in attack already this season, a lot more solider in defence, albeit the tackle efficiency surprisingly in the favour of Warrington, which astonished me. Both very similar in terms of conversion efficiency. And again, penalties more for KR, but less errors from KR. So, Willie Peters, I think one of his worst records since he took over at KR is against Warrington, albeit, of course, he got the one that counted last year in the playoff. But, of course, this isn't a normal Warrington side that's coming into this. Bazza, I'll start with you. When you look at those two squads, I'll just change that a little bit. When you look at those two squads, Bazza, you have to concede as a KR fan. If you come away from the Halliwell Jones Stadium on Friday night without 2 points, you're going to be scratching your head and you're going to be very disappointed.
No, honestly, no, because we saw it at Magic and we saw it against Lee. Against the adversity that Wire faced, nobody gave him a prayer against the Wigan and Lee, but it was a very patched up squad, and the performance they put in was outstanding. And we saw last year what Warrington did to Wigan in the dress rehearsal of the Challenge Cup. They had the kids out and they run them really, really close. So if KR was to get beat, which hopefully for me they don't, I don't think there'd be no shame in it. Looking at the squad side by side, yes, KR's is better, but why? They're that inconsistent this year. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know if they're going to roll over like they did at Wakefield, or they're going to turn it on against the so-called top four like they did against Saints and Wigan. So no, I don't. Obviously, I'd be disappointed with the defeat, but end of the day, it's still Warrington, what's coached by Sam Burgess, and on the day they can actually beat anybody on the day. So that, yeah, for me, it'll be a cracking game. I'm looking forward to it.
Go on then, Forrest. You carry on opening your box of chocolates down there while me and Steph have a sensible conversation. Steph, I mean, I love Bazza to bits, but talk on behalf of the KR fans, will you? If that team can't beat Warrington on Friday, they will be devastated. Let's be absolutely honest.
Oh, 100%, mate. That the whole KR squad there is a lot stronger than Warrington's, and I think more so in the forwards than anything else. Paul Vaughan missing for Wire is going to be huge based on.
And that's a key. And I'm sorry for interrupting, Steph. That's a key difference from the Wigan game. There's no Matty Ashton, there's no Paul Vaughan. Correct. So there's two massive people coming out that was in that Wigan game, imagine. Yeah,
absolutely. And you've got players like Max Wood. I think he'll probably come into the squad to replace Vaughan there into the starting side. And then you've also got Lachlan Fitzgibbon, who I believe is carrying an injury, and he's very, very prone to that at the moment. So that could be a crucial one if he picks up another knock in this game. So against what's going to be a massively physical KR pack.
Just on that, though, that could be a bit of Sam Burgess' development. Last year, he made the fatal error of putting Lachlan Fitzgibbon in at Wembley. Maybe he's saying to Fitzgibbon, if you want to play at Wembley, you're going to have to prove your fitness over the next 2 rounds.
Yeah, it's it could be, and I just see that forward battle being the key area here in this game. And players like Joe Philbin, who I think's had a pretty decent season, actually, Joe. He needs to really, really step up as a leader with those absentees that Warrington have got. But you just look over at that squad that KR put. Obviously, they're going to have Hiku back for this one. Su's going to be back in, is he? Back in. So that's massive compared to the Huddersfield game. I think those 2 players were rested, not for any other reason, just give them a week off. So bringing those back in the squad fresh, I would expect both of those players to have a massive impact. And it's going to be interesting. I think Hiku's going to go up against Ty, isn't he, as well? Is that right?
Yeah, he's on that. No, Hiku's on the right. On the right, so they're on opposite flanks. Yeah, so it'll be Conor Wrench against Hiku, which you wince at really. Yeah. With Conor only just coming back from injury. Right. Couple of things for again. If you're not a member, why aren't you a member? You should be a member here at Super League Raw. They got the benefit of the Sam Burgess interview. It was audio only. But that's going to be a regular thing now. Sam Burgess does not have his pre-match press conference recorded, but here at Super League Raw, every week to our members, we will be able to play the recording of Sam Burgess's pre-match interviews for our membership. So that's a bonus. And today, they've already had an advanced screening of Dal Powell's Wakefield Trinity pre-match press conference. And that, again, is going to be a regular feature for our members. So, we're increasing our content all the time. The benefits continue to get better. I was with Sam yesterday, very pragmatic. He said that what Warrington fans should do, it's a free hit. I mean, he didn't say that, but he said take a step back, take a wider view. There's going to be a lot of young players playing, the likes of Adam Holroyd, Conor Wrench, Aaron Lindop, etc. These are young prospects that have come through the Warrington system. It's a free hit. I don't think any Warrington fans expect that squad to beat KR. So in that respect, there's a jovial element to this from Warrington. Sometimes I enjoyed the Wigan game last year for the same reason. To see these lads get an opportunity for 80 minutes, we should celebrate that in rugby league. And if they get a good performance, great. They get a great performance. If they was to win, it's unbelievable what a statement that would be. But I think most Warrington fans will take this one as, look, we're probably going to lose, but it's going to be the manner of the defeat that is going to matter. Before we get into other news for Warrington, before we move on to the next game, I just want to bring people's attention to Ben Hartill. There is a real big possibility that he's going to get some minutes tomorrow night. Let me tell you now, KR fans, we celebrate rugby league here, and there's a lot of travelling KR fans that won't know Ben Hartill. He is in the mould of a Jez Litton. He plays that way at 9. He's very good around the ruck. He's got a good turn of pace. He's very, very dangerous. Now, whether, he played in the Widnes pre-season game, and actually he shone. He really did. Warrington really rate this kid. He plays phenomenally well in the reserve. So for you KR fans, yes, you're there to support your team, but also, look at tomorrow's talent today. If Ben Hartill plays, we'd be very interested to know what you think about that young man and his performance on Friday. He is one, and I know that Bazza, off the back of what I've just said, will keep a close eye on that, and I'm sure on the final whistle, Bazza will give it an appraisal of what he thought about Ben. Hope I've not jinxed him, but yeah, he's a hell of a talent, believe me. Right, before we move on from the Warrington game, it's only right and appropriate. I got wind of this yesterday. Of course, we do things here, Super League Raw, a little bit different. We wait for things to happen, but it's on the wind. Zane Musgrove is leaving the Warrington Wolves. Like I say, I knew that yesterday, but I just, how I behave. But what has really surprised me, because this was kept under wraps, was today. Massive speculation that Ellie El-Zakim or Zakem will be potentially coming in. Now, as a Warrington fan, I'm a bit surprised about this. I think we need a bit more grunt up front, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think we probably needed a like-for-like prop. Of course, Ellie plays more second row. But I'm not saying this because there's a potential he's joining Warrington. Go back last year, look at Team of the Weeks, look at what we were saying on Weekly about this kid. There's no doubt about it that last year, he was one of the surprise elements. We were saying, where's this guy come from at Castleford? They picked one up, really good here. Whether he's the right signing for Warrington, I don't know. I'd have liked to have seen a prop forward coming, if I'm being honest. But those statistics, when you look at them, he's second row. He played predominantly second row. Not a bad tackle efficiency over 90%. If it's sub 90, then you start to think about it. Errors 18 in 25 appearances. It's his meters, though. They're impressive meters for any second rower. If you're doing over 2,000 in a 25-game stint, you're doing well. That's a good standard of meters for anybody. This has surprised me. Has it surprised you, Baz?
Yeah, massively. Like you say, when Wire was looking at someone like Liam Knight as a good replacement in the forward line,
that's just on that, Baz. Bazza, just on that, mate. That's for next year. That room is for next year. And my understanding is this could be this is a short-term contract till the end of the season.
I don't know how it'll work out for him. He didn't start off terribly great at Castleford. It took him a few games to bed in, but once he did bed in, it did look really, really good. And no disrespect to the Castleford fans, but there wasn't a lot of good players last year at Castleford. So did he shine that little bit brighter in a poor side? It's a solid replacement. It's just going to be a test of time how he fits in. But you had the same last year with Luke Yates, and he's been a very, very good signing. And he's not the biggest forward, and you get 100% work rate out of him. So time will tell. I think you could have done a lot worse, my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a bit of a chat going on. Is Lee or is Lee not on the telly tonight? I don't believe that they are, but Carrie's saying it's on action, but the darts is on action.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not. I didn't think it was. It's on Sky Plus. But of course, if you've got Sky, you've got access to that. If you've got Sky Sports, it's going to be interesting. Like I say, a lot of rumours coming out of Warrington as to what's happened with Zane Musgrove. We don't go there either. All that we say is the guy's moving on by the sounds of it, and that's it. But obviously, we'll allow Warrington to worry about what goes on behind the scenes. We just judge what goes on the park. And every now and again, depending on the story, we might dip into what goes on behind the scenes. We'll come to that in a minute. Right, let's move on then. This should be an interesting game. Castleford Tigers taking on the Leeds Rhinos. Leeds, of course, I felt, nicked one off FC. Brilliant game last week. Showing a lot about the game. Showing a real lot about the game this year in terms of the way they're going about the business. In the same vein, Mr. Sale, that I've motivated Tex Hoy, perhaps you've motivated Brad Arthur.
Yeah, well, I said he was going to be the most influential person in their season. Regardless of who's taking the field, he was going to have the biggest impact. And he definitely has. You've just got to take your hat off to Brad Arthur and the way he's got Leeds playing, I think more so defensively than anything else. They've got the strike players, obviously, and Connor, his form at the moment has had a big part in that. But from a defensive point of view, I mean, if you look at what's he called, the hooker, Jared O'Connor, did he do 60 tackles last week?
Yeah, he did.
Which is phenomenal, isn't it, from any player? That's like Danny Houghton kind of tackling. But their defensive efforts have been outstanding. And I think that's where Castleford are really going to struggle in this game, to try and break Leeds down, because there's not many teams that can do that, and they don't concede a lot of points. Whereas they've got your likes of Ash Hanley He's in phenomenal form again, proving us wrong in that centre position with Connor. Brodie Croft back. It's looking daunting for the Tigers, even though they put a really good performance against Salford last week.
Second best defensive Super League. You know, I'm going to take a little bit of pride in that. You know, 2-3 years ago, Steph Sale had his blinkers on with the Lee Leopards, and now he's talking about Jared O'Connor doing 60 tackles in a game. Knowledge, Mr. Sale, a breadth of knowledge. Good lad. Outstanding effort there from the Sale. Bazza, coming to you. First game of the season, you know, round 3 this season, of course, it was Leeds at Headingley against Castleford. 38-24, which, you know, that was a problem. If you remember, I think Leeds took the foot right off the gas in that one. They got off to a commanding lead and then allowed Castleford back in. We've got to say, though, as a caveat to that, that day, the starting halfbacks was Gannon and Sinfield. On the weekend, it's going to be Croft and Connor. And there, for me, in lies the difference. I think that Leeds have got a lot of strike. This could be a very, very painful day if Leeds are on form. But that said, Castleford played decent last week.
Yeah, well, what you've got to take into account is Connor and Brodie Croft like a nice big pitch to play their expansive brand of rugby, but it's quite narrow at the jungle. So I think we'll see more of a forward battle in this game as opposed to the fancy stuff. I think if the game against Salford for Castleford, there was a few schoolboy handling errors. If they cut that out, they've got half a chance against Leeds, but the form Leeds are in, it's they've got that grittiness, that steeliness about them, where they'll just grind the game out and they'll just wear you down. And it'll be interesting to see if Danny Max comes out and says that they fall in love with themselves again.
Well, yeah, that was a bit of a line. But no, look, I mean, for me, you know, it's a good point you make about the small pitch, and for me, Steph, that's tailor-made for Jake Connor's kicking game in terms of 40-20s.
Yeah, it should be, and it's Cash use that ground to their advantage 100%. You know, and I think Arce really needs to step up in this one because he's got some quality halfbacks going against him this week. Castle need him to be in top form to have any chance of creating. We've already mentioned the defensive stuff, but I'm looking forward to seeing it versus Newman. I think it'll be that battle. So that I think Seni's been fantastic for Castle, probably going under the radar for a lot of people, but I've been really impressed with his performances. And then obviously Tex Hoy coming off the back of that brilliant performance against Salford. Well, it's not going to be as easy for him this week with that Leeds defence. But if Cass are going to have any chance, then it's like I knew what you were going to do, Dave. If he was going to have any chance, then Tex does need to step up. I'll talk about Miller while it's on, then Bazza can come in. But I think Lockie Miller as well, obviously didn't start the season for Leeds. I think the first 7 or 8 games he missed.
He's up to 7 appearances, mate.
7 appearances, yeah. So getting him back's been crucial in being able to put Connor into that standoff position. So that's where everything's kind of fell into place. And now Croft's come back in. It's allowing Miller that space to be creative around the back and for Croft to link up with him and Connor. So he's going to have a big impact. So those two are really good to highlight. I think it's going to be big in terms of both teams' performances, how these two go on Saturday.
Absolutely. Baz, 2 great fullbacks, like I say, both in really, really good form. They'll have a big part to play.
Yeah, absolutely. But the battle of the fullbacks, I fancy Lachlan Miller in this one because last few games he's been an absolute handful. I know Tex Hoy has had some very, very good games, but Tex Hoy is just too inconsistent. We start singing all his praises and then he'll have probably the worst game you'll see him play. For me, Lockie Miller is coming into his own this year. He's been outstanding, and I think he's been a big part of Leeds' comeback towards the top of the table. Myself,
yeah, can't disagree with that. Should be a great game. Like I say, I mean, Castleford for a long time had a good record against Leeds, but believe it or not, the last win came all the way back in 2023. Magic weekend. Who can forget that? 26-24. That try in the corner right at the death of the game. I remember the shirts, that like tartan shirt for MND. I remember that. That was the famous Magic weekend.
Yeah.
Didn't Cass put 60 on them that season at home as well?
Oh God, mate! Now you're testing me. I know they beat him. I know they beat him at Magic, but yeah, they had a really good record that period. They had a really good record against Leeds, but since then, Leeds have really kicked on and they've got the hoodoo over him. Right, we've already said our members have seen the Davil Powell press conference in full, but before we give you a little bit of snippet, I had the privilege of asking him a question or two, and there's no doubt about it. Davil is not taking Salford for granted. And finally, for me, I asked him, the coaching pool is a tight and a small unit of men. Really, I'm delighted for you in terms of your British coaches
being carried away.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing a really nice brand of rugby as well, it's got to be said. JD asked you about, the mentality of the players going into Salford, and you've already said statistically, Salford were right in that game at the weekend. It was the execution of Castleford, really, that did them. Castleford were very good in attacking phases. From a coaching perspective, how hard is it when you're expected to win, which you are this weekend, versus a game like a Wigan or a Saints where, focus and mentality probably takes care of itself a little bit? From a coaching perspective, could you give us an insight on how you make sure the lads don't take this for granted?
Well, I think obviously, there's different ways you communicate with your team. You show video stuff, different stats. I mean, Salford ran for more meters than Cass by a significant amount last week. So, that in itself tells a story. I mean, I showed the boys some footage this morning where, they've torn Castleford apart on numerous occasions, and they've got a couple of players there, Masters and McDonald, who, are super talented. Obviously, Nickerim potentially misses this week because he's another one. And then you've got Braley with pace. I think particularly on the edges, super getting carried away.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing a really nice brand of rugby as well, it's got to be said.
I think that will have done enough, because there's, like I say, they're really challenged like last week, and we've sort of replicated some of that in practice this morning, and we know we're going to need to defend well. So I still think that they're dangerous, and you go in thinking anything else, and you get rattled because they really come after you on edges. They come and they shut things down and they put you under pressure. They've been doing this for, it's part of Paul Rowley's coaching style, that they come after you defensively on edges. So for us, realise what you're up against, and they're combative, they're competitive, and if you don't play well, then there's a chance of getting you, and we're fully aware of that.
So there you go. Davil Powell speaking earlier this morning. He's taking nothing for granted, and rightly so. Ignore what's going across the bottom of the screen. I thought I got rid of all of them, but there you go. But yeah, we don't know what the teams are going to be. But look, we won't go too far in terms of this particular game. Darryl also mentioning the fact that there's no Nicarima and there's no Ethan Ryan on a separate question that I asked him. So the two massive strike players off. As much as they were competitive against Castleford, they still lost by a good score. Wakey are a far better side than Castleford. I'm sorry, Castleford fans, but you might have a train. You might have a train station, but you're not a patch on Wakey at the minute. We would expect where Aidan Simo's in the chat. But yeah, look, we're not going to languish the point in the same way that I said to Bazza, and Bazza's, did a politician's answer with his own side. Do we expect anything other than a Wakey win?
No, it's going to be, it's hard to say, it's horrible to say, but it's going to be a painful watch. Wakefield have been playing some outstanding stuff this year. Don't get me wrong, 10 out of 10 for Salford for effort, but they just literally lack skill in every department. Fitness. Wakefield are going to be way too good for them. That they are literally the underdog story this year at Wakefield, and they're going to be in the playoffs. They've been amazing.
It's a big statement. I asked him that as well. Again, our members have already seen that question get posed to him. Davil, for the first time this season, said, well, we're in the top six now. I think there's a bit of belief starting to be injected, and rightly so, the way they're playing. I mean, I said to Davil, they're right up there. They're in the top six in terms of attacking points made, and I think they're fourth in terms of defense. So, they're not there. They're not there because they don't deserve to be there. They're there because they're playing well, very well. Steph, this man, just a quick minute on him. You've been really impressed with him. Those stats. back to his best, undroppable Mason Lino.
Yeah, and obviously the injury to Truman has meant that Mason's come back in. I think Daryl's used it to motivate him by dropping his squad number down and really set him a challenge this season. And he's passing every test with flying colours at the moment for me. I think everything that Wakefield are doing is coming through Mason Lino. So I think he's going to be another big game for him, and one where I think Daryl Powell's going to come at this with a ruthless mentality. We all know how close the playoffs end up being in terms of points difference can be the difference between you getting in the playoffs and not. So I expect them to try and put a massive score on Salford this week. Salford obviously losing Nicarima and Ryan, it just gets worse for them. It would have been a tough day at the office for them anyway, I think. But to not have those two, especially Nicarima, who's pretty much done all the good things Salford have done have been Nicarima based. Yes, they'll have Nenny McDonald and Briley in this one again from the Castleford game, but Wakefield at home, the way they're playing at the moment, just the consistency of them is going to be far too much for that Salford side, and I expect probably an ugly result coming in from a Salford perspective.
Yeah, it's hard to look the other way on that one. 23 years of age, Kais Vitali, Baz. I mean, you've poached Tanganoa and you poached the Whitbread from Wakey when they went down. New pasta on the block. Oh, yes, they're going to be doing their own brand of pasta. Hey, if you go down there, forget spaghetti bolognese, it'll be bolognese for telly. That's what they'll be serving up at Bellevue, and rightly so. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And off contract at the end of 2025. Now, Dowell was asked, are they in talks to get him for longer? The window's open. I cannot believe that it won't just be Wakefield trying to tie this guy down for 2026, will it?
No, definitely not. And if he carries on with the form that he's showing, I can see your KR, Saints, Wire all looking at him. I think it's going to cost Wakefield a pretty penny to keep him at the club on a decent long-term deal. He's come out of nowhere from Australia, this lad, and he's scoring tries for fun and setting him up, and you can't miss him with that hairstyle. It's amazing.
It's an absolute shocker, but I wouldn't tell him to his face. The bottom line is, though, with this guy, 23, normally it takes, post 25, 26 for us to see a form of this. I mean, for a 23-year-old, I mean, you're talking the likes of James Graham's, people like Sam Burt. I mean, I'm not comparing him, but what I'm saying is there's very few prop forwards that in their young 20s play and dominate a game. This lad's doing that. I'm not comparing him to Burgess. I'm not comparing him to Graham. I'm just saying that for his age, it's incredible to see where he's currently at and where he could get to in the next 5 years. Steph, if Lee announced next week that this guy was coming on a 3-year contract, you wouldn't be disappointed, would you?
Oh no, definitely not. I don't think any club would be, and I think that why you mentioned Lee, I'm going to compare him directly to Tom Amone. Tom Amone came over to Lee playing 10 minutes, 15-minute spells, a bit like Fertilli did when he started at Wakefield. But his fitness seems to be getting right up there now, and I've been really impressed with it. He backs up like a fullback with some of the breaks, and that's so impressive for a middle, because he's doing the hard bits as well. To have that fitness and being able to do that is phenomenal. But I hadn't realised how young he was. I thought he was like 27, 28. So for someone so young and showing what he can do in Super League, a bit like Tom Amone, his stock is just going up and up and up every week. So it's going to cost Wakefield a lot of money, I think, to keep him, because I'm sure his agent's phone's ringing off the hook if he's off contract in a few months.
100%. Jay Pitts, one appearance off 150. We'd expect him to get to that milestone. Tom Johnstone as well. Opportunity knocks for him. 12 points to reach 500 in Super League. That could happen. Just one appearance needed as well from Nene McDonald for his 200th career appearance. We'd expect him to get that. Congratulations to all three players. But and here's one for you, just on the big man on the screen before we go. Yes, he might not have done as many meters, but in terms of punching power, in terms of what he's actually doing per carry, 8.2 average is better than, let's go from top to bottom, JWH, Luke Thompson, Alex Walmsley, Erman Essayesse, Paul Vaughan, and the list just grows, and Robbie Mullen. He, as an average carry, he's average carrying him out the park. Now, that is a hell of a thing for a young man like this to do. So many congratulations to Wakey. You've got yourself a great player here. Question now is, can you hold on to him? I know that Darryl and the team at Wakey are in discussions because he said so. Right, we've got 10 minutes left, just under. So look, we're going to go now to the Wigan Catalan game. And of course, this has been overtaken, folks. Let's be absolutely honest about it. This has been overtaken by what has happened in the south of France this week. I did a vlog yesterday, quite impassioned, because I believe that, you know, Steve McNamara deserved a lot better treatment from a club that he has represented for 8 years with distinction. And I asked Darryl Powell exactly the same question.
And finally, for me, Darryl, you know, the coaching pool is a tight and a small unit of men. Really, I'm delighted for you in terms of your British coaches. We need to celebrate them. And I'm delighted for you in terms of what you've achieved at Wakefield this last couple of years. A quick word on Steve Mack and what he's achieved in France for French Rugby League. Obviously, not been confirmed by the club, but I think we all know that Steve is leaving Catalan. Would you like to pay tribute to the great job that he's done and the impact he's had on French Rugby League?
Yeah, I tell you, the best thing, one of the best things I could say about Steve, so he's a champion fella and coach, is that he's really challenged himself, you know, with his going to Australia and coaching out there. The international coach is always a challenging job. And then to go to France, you know, that with the language barrier and all that, they're all challenging things to do. And I think he's, you know, some people are scared to put themselves into difficult situations, and you know, he's certainly not. And I think he's gone, and wherever he's been, he's done a fantastic job. You know, to go to France and do what he's done, the league leaders, grand final appearances, won the Challenge Cup. But he's done an immense job there, and you know, I think everybody recognised that. It'd be nice if the Catalan club came out and said it, to be fair. But yeah, look. This is a tough job. This people don't realise until you actually do it. You know, it's constantly challenging, and it's been amazing for French Rugby League and for Catalan. So yeah, I've texted him myself because obviously I know Steve pretty well. Played in the same international team as him years ago. So yeah, he's been unbelievable in his career in France.
So there you go. That was Darryl's view, and I think Steph, you'd echo it. I mean, regardless of all this nonsense about Leeds and the rest of it, there has been nothing, absolutely nothing, standing in the way of the Catalan Dragons doing a nice piece on the departure of Steve Mack. Instead, they've allowed Sam Tompkins to go on the verdict in advance of that. I just think it's a bad look for that club.
Yeah, it's when you've had a long-term coach, even if it does turn sour in the end, and I don't think the Catalan fans even really turned sour on him that badly. But you would have expected them to want to announce that and have the chance to put on record the thanks for what he's done for that club, and I'm sure they will do at some point. But you know, maybe the French have a different way of showing gratitude. Who knows? But yeah, it is surprising and disappointing really for him. But you know, I'm sure there's people after his services already, and he won't be out of employment for too long.
The French gratitude being questioned by Mr. Sale. Their hospitality never is. He does like a bit of steak and vino when he goes down to the Catalan Dragons. Right, boys, let's move on because of time. Here we go. Don't know why that's up again. Like I say, Bazza saw behind the curtain today. It's his first appearance on the captain's run, and he saw the amount of effort that goes in behind. It took him aback a little bit, working against it a bit today. But anyway, here we go. Catalan Dragons, Wigan Warriors, 34-13. No surprise there. 4-1 to the Warriors. Warriors in sparkling form. It's got to be said. They're really coming on the rail. Everybody's waiting for that next game against KR. Of course they are. Wigan, great in attack, solid in defence. Everything points to a Catalan loss. But there's been a change of coach. And how many times in sport does a change of coach galvanise a team, Bazza? Do you see there in that Catalan squad a squad that could upset the Wigan Warriors?
No. Simple. No. You look at the Wigan squad compared to that, there's no contest. The only worry for Wigan is they seem to, as of late, get this commanding lead looking exceptional. And then before you know it, they're leaking 24, 26, 28 points, which could give the Catalans some hope. Looking at the squads side by side, I don't give Catalan a chance in this. But if it's true what they say about Joel Tompkins being the interim coach, fresh ideas, anything could happen. Obviously, the climate of the weather and whatnot could also go in Catalan's favour, but I can't see past the Wigan winning this. The only downfall for Wigan is they seem to leak a few points in late on.
Yeah, I mean, look, on the topic of Joel Tompkins, I mean, obviously we all saw the videos back in the day. You know, his temperament, his character, his maturity has been questioned many, many times. I'm very surprised that I thought Sam over Joel would have took interim charge. I'm very surprised about that. But this again also really it really annoyed me, hence the vlog that I did, Steph. When you've got Sam Tompkins coming out on Sky, and I'm going to quote him verbatim, Joel is harder to please than Steve McNamara for sure. I found that absolutely scandalous.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. I hadn't seen that quote, to be honest. I've not seen the Sam Tompkins interview, it's I don't like the family connection being involved in it as well. I think it's got disaster written all over it in terms of Sam's input into Joel and from work. I mean, it may work brilliantly. What do I know? But for me, it's I just think it's got disaster written all over it for Catalan. On the game, two big losses still for Catalan for me and Garcia and Boucher. I think they're two huge losses for them, and that's why I think it is going to be a comfortable win for Wigan this week. They will want to fix up that defence. I'm sure Matty Pete's got them hitting the tackle bags this week, but we all know that Wigan have got a great defensive performance in them. I see it as a bit of a blip that against Lee the other week. But I do think it's going to be a tough day at the office for Catalan, regardless of the bounce back ability, to quote Chris Kamara, I think it was who came up with that one. I still think it's going to be too much for them, but stranger things have happened.
Stranger things have happened. Obviously, Whitehead back, he was missing last week. He's back. Yeah. But that said, Steph, he hasn't pulled up many trees for me, Elliot Whitehead, this season. No. So, but just as a little caveat here, time is ticking on, and Steph's got to get off to get his kids, so he's going to do Betfred Steph very quickly before he does that. But if there is any hope at all for any Catalan Dragons that are watching this, it's potentially the right edge defence of Wigan, because we're expecting in this game a Jacob Douglas, Adam Kieran right edge. Yes, Eckersley's in that squad. Is he going to be put in or not? I'd be surprised if he was, based on the fact that he's been to hospital, etc. But if Eckersley's there, it's a bit tighter. But if Jacob Douglas starts on the right edge with Kieran, who's not, for me, the greatest of defenders, sometimes he misreads quite a lot. They're going to be going up against Remy Smith, who's been very impressive, and Nick Kotrick. So that, for me, that's the side. If Catalan can target that side and get some space to those two outside backs, there's a potential. But I agree with the lads. I think Wigan should pretty much see this one off and continue hunting down the Robins. Right, it's time for this.
Are you sick and tired of winning your bets every week? Want to contribute to the bookies' Christmas party? The bets to ignore when predicting the score. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Bet Stef.
Well, I'm going to blow my own trumpet, and we've already mentioned last week we won the anytime try scorer accumulator. So anyone who jumped on that, I think, got odds of 14-1. A bit higher odds this week, 30-1. I've gone for Amaya Hanley. I think he's due a try for Lee. I think he scored in the fixture against Hull FC in that 22-all draw as well. So I'm tipping Amaya to get over for one tonight. And then I've gone for George Whitby off the back of his 3 tries last week. I'm hoping he's going to get another one against the Huddersfield Giants. And my final choice this week is Arthur Morg. I think he's due a try as well. So I expect the forwards to set the platform for KR and the backs to do some try scoring against Warrington. So Artemorg is my tip there. But some really good odds with it not being no wingers in that selection. So where last week it was all wingers, I'm going a bit left field again this week with the centres, fullbacks and halfbacks to score.
30-1, just over the odds. And yes, you blow your trumpet, mate. You blow it. Hey, how many rounds in? 11 rounds in, and we're there. We've done it. Outstanding. Yeah. Steph, if you've got to get off to get the girls, you go and get off. Just got a couple of things to finish off, mate. But on behalf of us all, as always, Steph, thank you for your company. Enjoy the game this evening, and we'll catch up tomorrow, my friend. Thank you very much.
I'm going for a beer early, really. I'm not getting the kids.
Well, okay. Anyway, you have a great day at the rugby, mate, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow, mate. Thanks very much indeed for your time. Bazza, mate, great debut. Really enjoyed your company as well. Should be a great game of great weekend of action and of sport. But like I say, just one final thing to go through, ladies and gentlemen. If you miss weekly,
well, hello, yet again, and on a week where we've had quite a few announcements, here comes another one. This is an exclusive for our Team Talk members. Would you like to be involved in this?
Yes, that's right. Watch along live debuts this Saturday. Craig Thorpe, one of our Super League Raw Team Talk members, he's going to be taking the chair. Question is who's joining him. I need another couple of volunteers. We need to get that one boxed off in the next 24 hours. But at 5:15 this Saturday, if you tune into our YouTube channel, 2 of our members will be walking you through all the action, all the talking points. I know that this man will be wanting to make an appearance on that as the season goes on.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I'm not very animated when I'm watching the game because I'm just focused on the game. I'm like, I just want to be left alone. I don't know. I'll give it a bash, but it'll be interesting watching Craig Forth because he gets a tad excited at times. So it'll make for great viewing that, absolutely.
It will. The membership just keeps getting bigger and better. Of course, Captain's Run now free to air. We've opened this one up, but there's far more to it than the shows that are free to air. Like I say, Round Unpacked, a brilliant show on a Monday. The WhatsApp group, absolutely outstanding. We've got all the other stuff as well in terms of the meetups and the rest of it. And Bazza, again, you're front and centre on that. You had a hell of a weekend with the Huddersfield Giants fans, didn't you? Just very briefly, for those who have not seen anything from Super League Raw but have stumbled across the Captain's Run today, why should they tune into Super League Raw Weekly at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday? And why should they join our community, mate?
Oh, mate, it's the best community. I actually had a really nice message from Matt Timms this afternoon saying how privileged he is to be a member and how happy to make friendships with some of us, and like we've met mates for life now. And it's not only that, it takes the blinkers off your own club and makes you look at the game from a different perspective and like what other clubs are going through. Like 3 years ago, I couldn't stand Salford. Now I really feel for Salford and the fans, and you don't want to see that a club like that going through all that. And it, in a way, it sort of matures you as a fan. Great people, absolutely great people who were members. I'd highly recommend it. Everything is in a controlled fashion in the WhatsApp group. There's no abuse, there's no bad language. I mean, we've got 12-year-old Sammy in there, so that's what the community is like, and they're always looking out for each other. It is brilliant. And if somebody's feeling down, another member will always pick them back up again. It's the best place to be. It's really refreshing in the rugby league community.
Yes, it is. And of course, Super League Raw Weekly, 8 p.m. I mean, if you like Captain's Run, you'll love Super League Raw Weekly. Right, KR fans, Warrington fans out there, tomorrow night at the Bluebell, starting from 6 o'clock, come and join the Super League Raw community. A lot of robins descending on the town of Warrington tomorrow night. Make sure you get yourselves to the Bluebell, the home of Super League Raw. If you're driving the Golden Square car park, if you park your car bang on 6 o'clock, it's free parking, loads of spaces, fully controlled parking, safe parking, and it's literally a 3-minute walk from that car park to the Bluebell. You can come to the Bluebell with other Robins fans, other Wire fans. Come and enjoy Super League Raw live. We'll be doing a presentation in the pub. We're going to be playing a couple of games as well, just to get everybody in the mood for going down to the HJ. And then we'll all walk down together. We'll all walk down to Hollywell Jones together about 7:15, get in the ground with plenty of time. Bazza, you're looking forward to that because your missus got 2 free tickets courtesy of Super League Raw.
I know she did. I couldn't believe it. I'm going to have to put her up, see if she'll give me one if I offer to drive down there. So, yeah, very, very happy with that. Let's just hope she texts me and not her son who's an LFC fan.
Absolutely. We give tickets away here at Super League Raw. More of that coming down the pipe. Look, Bazza, you have flown the flag for the Team Talk members. Your debut on the Captain's Run. Who's going to join us next week? Get in the WhatsApp group. I will be putting some feelers out for next week's episode of the Captain's Run. Let's see who is going to top Bazza's performance. It's a tough one to top, but we'll see if somebody can. But on behalf of myself and Steph and the community, Bazza, thanks for your time this afternoon. Thanks for your input. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Appreciate it. Take care, guys.
Top man. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your Rugby League. Don't forget, if you're at the game, take your photos, send them in. We'll get them on the titles for you. Rugby League, round 12. Enjoy, folks. We'll see you for the final whistle on Monday morning. Bye for now.